Hi, I'm Joanna Fantozzi, Associate Editor with Restaurant Hospitality, and we're speaking with Mighty Quinn's Barbecue co-founder, Micha Magid. Mighty Quinn's is a New York City-based fast casual barbecue chain, and Misha is going to talk to us about the challenges Mighty Quinn's has been facing during the pandemic and what the future holds. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
So before we kind of dive into specifics, can you catch us up a bit on a timeline to get a sense of what's been going on with you guys since the beginning of the crisis in March?
Sure. So I guess since the governor enacted the closing of dining rooms, we obviously had a very quick adjustment to make. A few of our restaurants that are either in retail formats or central business districts have been closed entirely just because those office populations and obviously shoppers are gone. The remaining restaurants, though, for the most part, have remained open. So we currently have four locations open, three in Manhattan, one in Clifton, New Jersey. And for us to pivot to off-premise only was fairly smooth because we've been pretty early on to the delivery and off-premise trend. Going back to like 2016, we really started kind of leaning into delivery, takeout, and catering. So moving to 100% of that sales channel has been for the team, I think, pretty seamless. And then beyond that, we actually opened up two locations in Madison Square Garden earlier this year, which were off to the races, and those are obviously closed for the season until we figure out what's going on with the sports venues.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you mentioned delivery. It does seem like delivery and takeout heavy restaurants or restaurants that are more prepared to kind of pivot toward that have been faring better. Would you agree with that? And could you kind of go into more detail on how that pivot has been going?
Sure. Yeah, I think if you're new to delivery and takeout, it would be challenging to kind of launch that business from scratch in the middle of a pandemic. There's kind of a lot of testing and groundwork that needs to be laid to enable you to take delivery orders, not only through your own channels, but also through third-party platforms. So, obviously some restaurants have been in that position and have done a great job of being able to kind of quickly figure out, what travels well, how do we take in orders, how do we facilitate the logistics of this whole thing. But I think if you weren't kind of doing this before, it's definitely been a rough road. Fortunately for us, barbecue is something that's enjoyed in the restaurants, outside the restaurants, and multiple different venues. So, we've adapted by making a couple of changes. We introduced family meals to our menu, which we've never had on before, just to give a bit of a value offering and an easy kind of one-click solution if you have a family of four. Make a couple selections and kind of all the decision making is done. We've also rolled out a refrigerated product, so people that are really concerned about having other people handle their food, despite all the safety measures, we started doing refrigerated briskets and spare ribs to basically reheat at home. So it comes to you in a sealed cryovac packaging. We have reheating instructions, and we do those in various sizes. So that's been some of the things that we've launched today, in addition to offering kind of our local communities a discount code when they're ordering from our website.
And those are both available. Those are all available for both takeout and delivery?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. And so in terms of the new locations, those were in the sporting venues as you mentioned. So you're probably just gonna kind of hit pause on those and return to them. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate timing for opening new locations.
Yeah, no. So the first one opened in January, and the second one opened in February. So we've had a little bit of experience we have a location also in Yankee Stadium. So being in the Garden too is awesome to get open. Yeah. So basically those are in essence mothballed until MSG reopens and concerts and sporting events kind of resume business as usual. When that is, I think that's kind of anyone's guess right now. Hopefully by the summer we'll have more visibility into when kind of that part of our lives resumes back to what it used to be.
Mm-hmm. And did you have to evolve your menu any further or take anything off, or did you find that it was really easy to kind of pivot toward this takeout and delivery because barbecue, as you said, can be enjoyed anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the additions that I mentioned, we did streamline it a little bit. Some of the lower selling items or really dishes that were really focused on kind of the business lunch market, we've removed those. So, our goal was to have more of a streamlined menu that we can just make sure that everything is kind of fresh and moving. And some of the higher ticket items, one in particular, we removed. So we'll evaluate as kind of dining rooms reopen. We'll see what we bring back, but for now, like the core barbecue menu is there, and I think that we're kind of checking all the boxes off in terms of what people want to order from us. I think the menu as it sits today is in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna guess that one menu item is the Brontosaurus rib.
That's right.
Just a wild guess.
Yes, it is a Brontosaurus rib,
which I still haven't tried yet. I've been to chicken to try.
Okay, so what we've done now is, aside from ordering in the restaurants, we actually do national shipping all over the country through Goldbelly. So the Brontosaurus rib is still on that. So that's kind of the one thing for people that want to order either large frozen briskets, spare rib racks, or Bronto ribs. They can go to our Goldbelly page, and we ship those all over the country.
Mm-hmm. And so in terms of something that I think that a lot of smaller businesses and smaller chains have been trying to do over the past month or so is apply for these federal loans. Did you guys apply for the PPP loan or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did apply for the PPP loan. I think that while the intention was great, the current construct on the forgivability part still needs to be worked on. They're requiring restaurants or really any businesses to spend that money in 8 weeks. And if you're a restaurant where half your locations are closed, it's obviously extremely difficult to spend that money. So we're hoping that as we move through May, that hopefully, our congressional leaders will realize that some of that language needs to be softened. Because what we don't want to see is small business come out of the June period, encumbered with debt as the economy is just getting going again. I think that's going to be kind of a self-defeating purpose if the mission was to go, save small business rather than kind of put a bunch of debt on them right as they're trying to get their feet back underneath them.
Yeah, I think thankfully they actually did add a forgivability aspect to the bill just a couple of days ago, actually. So they are listening to small business owners. So that's
that's definitely a step in the right direction. So if your employee declines your offer to bring them back, then that would theoretically not go against you in the forgivability calculation. But there are still some kind of meaningful numbers that we'd still like to see moved around a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other part of this equation that has been tough for business owners is labor. Now, how has labor been impacted from you guys since I'm sure you probably had to furlough employees from the locations that were closed, but kind of what were the details of that?
Yeah, so, I mean, you kind of hit it. So the closed locations, we've had to furlough those teams. Unfortunately, there were some positions at our corporate level that we had to furlough as well. Our goal is basically kind of to, figure out the foundational elements of Mighty Quinn's and really run as lean as possible because we want to be able to emerge on the other side of this crisis in a strong position with, the capital needed to move forward. So they're difficult decisions. We're obviously very mindful of what staff is getting furloughed, who we're keeping on the team. They're difficult decisions. But I think that, that was kind of a March event for us. And April has really been about kind of maximizing what's in place. So, we saw through the course of April, sales for the 4 locations rose around 50% over the course of the 4 weeks, which has been great. And I think one of the reasons that we've seen that is not only have we kind of, tailored the menu as I described, but we've also started feeding all the hospital workers for free. So we're coincidentally located near a lot of hospitals in each of our locations. And so hospital employees would come by with their ID, we give them free sandwiches. And I think, just embracing the community aspect of our business has been important through this crisis. And, supporting the hospital teams, which has obviously been kind of the front line of defense through all this, has been super important. And I think that our local communities have in turn noticed what we've been doing and have in turn supported us in that same cause.
Yes, I've read about that you guys have done quite a bit for the community. Is that kind of the only aspect? Is that the primary aspect of it? That essential workers could come in and get a free sandwich, or kind of what
Yeah,
are
to
the other
start, yeah, and so we were trying to figure out kind of the best thing that we could execute at the store level, and free sandwiches was just kind of an obvious kind of takeout item. So we ran with that. It's been well received, so we've kept that going even through today.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, obviously it's hard to choose, but what to you has been the most challenging aspect of these past couple of months?
Like we've all been kind of interacting through like Zoom calls, and while we are kind of still, our office is kind of attached to one of our kitchens, but it's just been, I think one of the challenging things has been interacting with the team, but not really all being together. Mm-hmm. Mighty Quinn's is almost 8 years old, and we've always had a very strong kind of team environment, and doing it all kind of telephonically is obviously has a different element to it. We don't have the kind of, we have a good time, and the camaraderie aspect is kind of backburnered, and it's just working remotely has been a little bit of a challenge, but the team has persevered, and I think hopefully we're a few weeks to maybe a month away from no longer needing to be out of the office.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And so, moving forward, when you're thinking about in these next few weeks or month, what is your plan for reopening as of right now?
Sure. So, it's interesting. Even when dining rooms reopen, the big question mark is that really going to change anything? Are people going to be coming in to sit down, or is it still going to be only takeout and delivery? So, I think the jury's still out on that. For us, being those locations are already open, reopening is actually is our restaurants that are in these business district environments that are fully closed. So I think we're going to basically treat that as we kind of treated the restaurants when we transitioned to fully off premise. I mean, it's really running with a very kind of efficient labor model. We'll see how much kind of foot traffic we see versus delivery orders, and fortunately, when you have a fast casual kind of service model, it's easy to execute both takeout and delivery utilizing the same crew. Mm-hmm. So we'll be positioned to reopen, and whether that's people coming in the door or orders electronically, we'll be ready to go.
Great. I think that's questions I have. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thanks for checking in.
Absolutely, and have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.